If your business generates between $1 and $10 million a year, and the only thing consistently growing from your advertising budget is the size of your agency's monthly report, this video is for you. You have probably spent 5 or 6 figures on Meta ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, or some combination of all three, and every month somebody shows you that impressions are up, clicks are up, and your cost per lead is apparently improving. But when you speak to your sales team, they tell you a completely different story. The leads are unqualified, they don't have the budget, they don't answer the phone, they booked but didn't show up, or somehow they filled out your entire application form and still claim they have never heard of your company. So you are not only losing money on advertising, you are paying your salespeople to chase strangers who don't trust you. You are wasting hours in agency meetings discussing metrics that never reach your bank account. Your sales and marketing teams are blaming each other, your pipeline is still unpredictable, and despite all the money you have spent, your best customers are probably still coming through referrals. Then you hire another agency, they change the targeting, they redesign the landing page, they produce some new creatives, they promise this campaign will be different, but 3 months later, you have the same problem inside a different dashboard. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The advertising platforms may have done exactly what you paid them to do. They got your attention. The problem is that you paid to put a high ticket offer in front of complete strangers and asked those strangers to book a call before they understood their problem, trusted your method, or believed your company could help them. You paid for attention before building trust. And paid advertising does not automatically fix a trust problem. It just sends more people into it. That is why I believe established businesses that have already burned thousands on ads should build a YouTube channel before increasing their advertising budget again. Not because ads never work, they absolutely can work. But ads become far more effective when they amplify trust that already exists instead of trying to manufacture trust in 20 seconds. And in this video, I'm going to show you why your previous campaigns probably failed, why simply hiring another agency may produce the same result, how YouTube fixes the part those ads were missing, and the exact system I would use to start a channel without turning the founder into a full-time content creator. First, you need to understand how most $1 to $10 million businesses were built. They normally weren't built through cold advertising, they were built through reputation. The founder knew people, the company did great work, clients received results and recommended them, industry partners sent opportunities, and the sales team closed those opportunities because the prospect arrived with a certain amount of trust. Or if all might say, my business partner used this company, they are excellent, you should speak with them. By the time that prospect contacts you, someone else has already completed the hardest part of the sale. They transfer their trust to your business. Then you try to scale through paid advertising. You take the same offer that are with warm referrals and put it in front of somebody scrolling Instagram who has never heard your name. Your ad says, we help businesses grow, we are the leading company in our industry, book your free strategy call today. But the person watching doesn't know you. They don't understand your method. They don't believe your promise. And in many cases, they don't even realize they are the problem you solve. Then we act surprised when they don't book. Or we make the offer even more aggressive. We add fake urgency, we promise a massive result, we offer another free audit. Then we ask for their name, phone number, revenue, team size, budget, and business goals before we have given them one useful piece of information. And when they don't convert, we call it a lead generation problem. But sometimes you are simply asking a cold stranger to make a decision that only one prospect is ready to make. This is where buyer awareness becomes important. At the warmest end of your market, you have people who already know your company and are nearly ready to purchase. One level colder, they are actively comparing you with competitors. One level colder, they know the type of solution they need, but they haven't chosen a provider. Then you have problem-aware prospects. These people know something is wrong. Revenue has stopped growing. Referrals are becoming inconsistent, their sales cycle is too long, their lead costs are increasing, but they don't know what will fix it. Finally, you have problem-unaware prospects. They own a valuable company and have money to purchase your service, but they would never describe themselves as needing what you sell. They might say, we have always grown through word of mouth, our clients aren't on social media, YouTube doesn't work in our industry, or we tried marketing before it was a waste of money. But what they do not see is that their entire pipeline depends on other people remembering to recommend them. Their most valuable knowledge is trapped inside the founder's head. Their salespeople explain the same basic ideas on every call. And when two referral partners stop sending business, the company has no predictable system for reaching new buyers. Most advertising campaigns target people who are already solution aware, people searching for an agency, people requesting proposals, people comparing several providers. That audience can convert quickly, but it's also the most competitive part of your market. They are comparing prices, they are interviewing 4 companies, they enter every call prepared to negotiate, and they treat your service like a commodity because every company appears to be making the same promise. The bigger opportunity is educating problem-aware and problem-unaware prospects before they begin comparing vendors. But you can't reach those people by immediately promoting your service. You have to begin with an expensive symptom they already recognize. A business owner may not believe they need YouTube, but they understand the danger of depending entirely on referrals. They understand an unpredictable pipeline. They understand paying salespeople to educate every prospect from zero. They understand watching weaker competitors dominate online while their own expertise remains invisible. That is the conversation your content needs to start. And that is why YouTube is different from simply running another ad. YouTube gives you source and discovery on the same platform. Source helps you reach people actively trying to understand a problem. Home and suggested videos can introduce your ideas to qualified people who weren't searching for your service at all. One side captures existing demand, the other side helps create demand. And unlike a short advertisement, a long-form YouTube video gives you enough time to change someone's mind. You can diagnose their problem, show them what it's costing, challenge their current assumptions, teach your method, demonstrate evidence, tell a client story, answer objections, and allow them to decide whether they trust you before they ever speak with your sales team. That's what many businesses are missing. They don't need another channel generating names and phone numbers. They need a channel that develops trust and buying intent before the form is completed. That matches how modern B2B buyers want to purchase. Gartner found that 61% of B2B buyers prefer an overall buying experience without a sales representative, and 73% actively avoid suppliers who send irrelevant outreach. That doesn't mean buyers never want to speak with salespeople. It means they want to educate themselves first. They want general information without sitting through a pitch. Then when they need help applying that information to their situation, they want expert guidance. Your YouTube channel handles the general education. Your sales team handles the contextual decision. But YouTube solves another problem most advertisers completely miss. The person clicking your ad may not be the only person deciding whether your company gets hired. Maybe the CEO likes your service, but finance questions the return, operations worries about implementation, procurement thinks the price is too high, another partner doesn't trust an unfamiliar vendor. These hidden buyers might never click your advertisement or appear on your sales call, but they can still kill the deal. Recent LinkedIn and Bain research found that 81% of purchases were made from vendors that almost everyone in the buying group already knew. Only 4% came from vendors known solely by the person recommending them. Your champion doesn't only need to believe in your service, they need to defend the decision internally. YouTube gives them something credible to share. A case study for the CEO, an ROI breakdown for finance, an implementation video for operations, an objection handling video for the skeptical partner. That means one video can influence a deal even if the person watching never completes a form. Now this sounds great in theory, but most businesses start YouTube completely wrong. They make 3 videos, the first gets 83 views, the second gets 41, the third gets 17. Then they conclude that their customers aren't on YouTube. But 3 uploads are not a strategy. They are 3 pieces of information. Successful channel don't treat every upload like a final examination of whether YouTube works. They treat every upload like an experiment. The goal isn't to predict the perfect topic before publishing anything. The goal is to increase the speed at which you discover what your ideal customers want to watch. You are testing problems. You are testing promises, you are testing titles, you are testing thumbnails, you are testing formats, and you are testing which ideas create qualified business conversations. The companies that learn faster improve faster. This does not mean rushing out low quality videos or posting random ideas every day. Every experience should have a reason behind it. You might say, we believe business owners respond more strongly to the risks of referral dependence than the promise of getting more views. That becomes one video. Then you test another problem. Maybe the fear of wasting more money on ads creates stronger interest. Maybe the founder bottleneck resonates more. Maybe a practical case study attracts fewer viewers but significantly more qualified calls. Now you are not guessing. You are learning from the market. That learning process has 3 parts. First, immerse yourself into what your ideal customers already consume. Study the channels, podcasts, newsletters, and conversations they pay attention to. Look at which problems repeatedly earn their interest. Don't copy another creator's word. Understand why the topic, title, opening, and argument work. Second, understand the mechanics of attention. A strong topic creates interest. A strong title and thumbnail on the click. The opening convinces the right person to continue watching. The content delivers on the promise, and the call to action gives them a logical next step. You don't need random acts. You need to understand what each part of the video is supposed to accomplish. Third, publish enough deliberate experiments to learn. A business owner can spend 6 weeks debating which video to make, or they can publish several thoughtful videos, collect real information, and use that information to improve the next batch. YouTube growth is not only about producing more videos, it's about increasing the velocity of useful learning. So what should your business actually publish? I would build a channel around 4 categories. The first category is pain and diagnosis content. This content describes a costly situation your prospect already recognizes. For example, why a $5 million business can still have an empty pipeline next quarter. The hidden risks of growing entirely through referrals. Why your sales team keeps attracting price shoppers. Or your ads aren't failing, your prospects just don't trust you yet. Notice that none of those titles begins with your service. They begin with the client's reality. The second category is mechanism content. This explains why the problem exists and introduces your unique way of solving it. For example, how you do pre-sales prospects before they book a call. Why more ad spend makes a weak funnel worse. Or how to turn the founder's expertise into a 24/7 sales asset. These videos help buyers understand how you think differently. The third category is proof content. But don't simply open the video by screaming about a massive result. Tell the entire story. What did the client begin? What had they already tried? Why did it fail? Why did you change? What happened afterward? And why did your approach work? A strong case study doesn't only prove that you achieved a result, it helps the viewer recognize themselves inside a client situation. The fourth category is objection content. If your prospects repeatedly say, we have been burned by agencies, our buyers aren't watching YouTube, the founder doesn't have time, we can't measure the return, or we tried making videos and nothing happened, each objection should become a video. Don't insult the objection. Find the part that is true. Explain what normally goes wrong, then show what must be different for the strategy to succeed. Every video should then follow a simple conversion structure. First, filter the viewer, tell them immediately who the video is for. Second, describe the painful symptom they recognize. Third, reveal the real problem beneath that symptom. Fourth, teach your unique mechanism or solution. Fifth, prove the argument through evidence, experience, or a relevant client story. Sixth, overcome the next objection, preventing them from acting. Finally, give them one logical next step. That next step doesn't always need to be booking call. If the viewer only understands the problem, send them to a video explaining the solution. If they understand the solution but don't trust your process, send them to a case study. If they trust the process but fear the risks, send them to an objection handling video. One video earns attention, the next changes a belief, the next provides proof, the next creates action. That's how a YouTube channel becomes a sales system instead of a random collection of uploads. If I were implementing this for a $1 to $10 million company today, I would begin with a 90-day experiment. First, review recent sales calls. Write down the 20 most common questions, frustrations, objections, and reasons prospects didn't buy. Then separate those ideas into pain, mechanism, proof, and objection content. Choose the strongest 12 topics. Publish one valuable long-form video each week for 3 months. But don't force the founder to become a full-time creator. Record multiple videos in one session. Turn every long-form video into several shorts. Use the core argument in an email. Convert it into LinkedIn post and give the video to your sales team so they can send it to relevant prospects. Now, one useful idea produces value across the entire company. After every 4 videos, review the information. Which title earned attention from the right audience? Which opening kept them watching? Which topic generated comments from qualified business owners? Which video did prospects mention on sales calls? Which argument changed the most important belief? Then use those answers to improve the next 4 videos. That is the experiment loop. Publish, measure, learn, improve, and repeat. But please don't measure this only through views and subscribers. A channel with 2,000 qualified business owners can be worth significantly more than a channel with 200,000 random viewers. Track qualified calls that mention your videos. Track how many videos prospects consume before booking. Measure the show rate and close rate of YouTube influence lead. Measure whether the sales cycle becomes shorter. Ask every new client, where did you first hear about us? And what did you watch before contacting us? YouTube's latest US impact research found that 76% of small and medium-sized businesses with a channel said YouTube helped them grow their customer base by reaching new audiences. But the goal isn't merely reaching more people. The goal is reaching the right people and helping them understand why they should choose you. And I want to make something extremely clear. Starting YouTube doesn't mean you should never run ads again. You should use YouTube to make future advertising more effective. Learn which problems, promises, and ideas attract qualified viewers. Identify which videos create business conversations. Then use paid distribution to amplify the content that has already demonstrated demand. Introduce cold prospects through educational videos. Retarget engaged viewers with case studies and proof. Make the direct offer after they understand the problem, trust your method, and have seen evidence. Cold advertising introduces you. YouTube educates them. Retargeting reinforces the masses. Sales applies the solution to their specific business. That is a complete customer acquisition system. And it's very different from showing a cold stranger one advertisement and immediately asking them to book a call. But YouTube cannot permanently rescue a bad offer. If every prospect says implementation is too difficult, improve the implementation. If they don't understand the return, improve how you demonstrate value. If they have been burned by agencies, reduce the perceived risks and explain exactly how your approach is different. If qualified prospects attend calls but nobody closes, the sales process needs attention. Don't use content to argue with what the market is telling you. Use those objections to improve the offer, then create more content to communicate the improved offer. That feedback loop is what allows you to reach colder audiences without continuously increasing advertising spend. So if your business generates between $1 and $10 million a year and you have already wasted thousands on ads, your next move shouldn't automatically be hiring another advertising agency. First, build the layer your ads were missing. Create content that makes strangers understand their problem. Create content that demonstrates why your solution works. Create content that lets skeptical prospects investigate your company without feeling pressured. Create content your salespeople can use before and after calls. And create content that helps your champion sell the decision internally. Paid advertising rents attention. YouTube builds an expanding library of trust. And once you combine that trust with paid distribution, your advertisements no longer carry the entire burden of making a complete stranger believe you in 20 seconds. If you run a $1 to $10 million business, you have wasted serious money on advertising, and you want us to build this YouTube system with you, from buyer research and strategy to video ideas, scripts, packaging, production, and optimization. Use the link below to apply for a strategy call. We'll diagnose why your previous advertising failed. We'll identify the buyers and bleeps your content needs to target. We'll map the first 12 videos your business should publish. And we'll show you how to build the system without turning you into a full-time content creator. You already have the expertise. The problem is that the market can't see enough of it. Our job is to turn that expertise into content that earns attention, builds trust, and creates qualified sales conversations. And if you genuinely don't believe YouTube is the right strategy for your business, we'll tell you that too. Use the link below to apply, and I'll see you there.